Hi. There's been like an issue on Twitter and a little bit on Instagram. I don't know how open this is. Like, I don't know how many people know about this. There's just like a huge community, not huge, but there's just a community of, well, there's a community for just about everyone on the internet, which is great, fun time, inclusiveness. But then it gets to the point where it's a bit odd. And on Twitter, there's just a rather large community of people who like to call themselves MAPs or minor attracted person, which is a pedophile. Apparently there are like more, I don't know what you call them, like kinks or whatever the fuck under MAPs, but they're mainly just known as pedophiles. And the MAP community on Twitter is basically split into no MAPs and just MAPs. No MAPs are basically non-offending. They don't encourage, or at least I don't think they encourage, you know, like actually acting on those desires. And then there are regular MAPs who like just are fine with it, do whatever the fuck. A thing with no MAPs is, though, it was a good concept. The no MAP community could just be a community where people just encourage people to not offend, not act on their desires, encourage them to maybe get help if they need it, and just make sure that no child is left scarred and hurt. But what I found is that a lot of the time they just don't do that. Anyway, Twitter's policy says that discussions related to child sexual exploitation as a phenomenon or attraction towards minors are permitted, provided they don't promote or glorify child sexual exploitation in any way. But the thing is, a lot of the accounts do glorify and I guess promote just being a pedo. So I'm just gonna go through some accounts on Twitter that I am aware of that are very open to discussions about pedophilia. Just a little thing before I actually get into the weird ass tweets that we should probably talk more about. They posted this, can I really be fucked editing this into it? No. They tweeted this, and that flag over there is considered the MAP flag, but they are not part of the LGBTQ community. There is a large number of MAPs who are trying to squeeze themselves into the community. They are not LGBTQ. They're a large part of why the LGBTQ community is looked down upon, because I'm sure you've noticed this, but a lot of homophobes tend to relate gay people to pedophilia. So somebody just tweeted out saying that having sex with a child is rape because they can't consent, which, yes. And this person responded, yes, because the law determines how mature you are, of course. I guess you just can't comprehend what is happening around you before you turn 18. That must be it. How rational. I really dislike statements like this. Not all people are the same. What has that got to do with anything? Just because some people are mature enough to understand the concept of sex before the age of consent doesn't mean that you should be having sex with them. And just because they are mature enough to understand certain things doesn't mean that their body is developed enough to be able to do something like that, especially with somebody who is grown. And maturity comes with age, and the age of consent isn't incredibly high. Usually it's around the ages of 16 to 18. And I personally feel like those are decent ages because people have had a reasonable amount of life experience to understand and prepare for things like this, if that makes sense. I feel like this video is gonna be so shit. This person has also retweeted somebody else's thread where they said that adults can't consent because a lot of adults have disabilities that don't allow them to consent, adults that don't understand the language that you speak, adults that are asleep and stuff like that. I don't understand what that's got to do with anything. We're talking about you being gross, not other people being gross. Yes, that's why the concept of consent exists, so that adults have a choice. If they are asleep, if they're disabled, if they don't understand you, they are not consenting. But that has got nothing to do with you and your attraction to children. Even if they are awake, even if they aren't disabled, and even if they do understand you, you should not be having sex with people under the age of consent in your area. You cannot bring up rape in other ways in order to excuse your statutory rape. This tweet, okay, this account, how do I describe? You'll know the kind, the vibe is just ridiculous. They're stupid and they're trying so hard to not come across as stupid. You'll get what I mean when I start reading their tweets. Children's brains are not fully developed. No one's is. Children are idiots. Nice. Ageism. Children do not know the implications of sex. That's what education is for. Children cannot consent legally, choose psychologically, yet to be determined. So the first one, children's brains are not fully developed. No one's is. So recently scientists have come out and basically said that, I don't know if this is every science, a general majority of scientists, or if this is one or a couple studies. I just know that there have been studies to show that brains do not stop developing and they just keep doing their thing until you die. That doesn't mean that there is no difference between an adult's brain continuing to develop and the development of a child brain to an adult brain. Your argument does not stand. You trying to be smart with your short ass phrases, your snarky comments does not make your argument any more valid, and all you are doing is making yourself look like an idiot because you're not defending yourself against anything. Children are idiots. I don't think anyone's ever said that in order to protect protect children from pedophiles. And even if they do, that's not like a general thing. I don't know why you put that in this tweet. It's got nothing to do with your desires and you either fantasizing about or trying to have sex with children. Children do not know the implications of sex. That's what education is for. So you want people to educate children about sex purely so that you, an adult, can have sex with them. That is nasty. Children cannot consent. Legally true, psychologically yet to be determined. Again, that does not help your argument. I don't think I should need to say anything to that. It's your what? This account said, I defended pedophiles in class today and my teacher overheard and congratulating me, saying that's what he likes to hear. If your teacher is defending pedophiles and saying that he likes to hear other people defending pedophiles, that is concerning and I don't think he should be working in schools. Pedophiles need to get off Twitter. And this person responded, people who can't mind their own business and have to be so concerned about what they're doing 24/7 need to get off Twitter. When people say mind your own business, they mean things like, if you heard this dumbass rumor, don't spread it. If you heard this dumbass rumor, don't gossip about it. When people say mind your own business, they're saying don't be concerned about other people's genitalia if you're not their doctor or going to have sex with them. Don't be concerned about other people's sexuality unless you're planning to have sex with them. That kind of stuff. Like, don't be transphobic, don't be homophobic, don't be up in other people's business because it's got nothing to do with you. However, there is a difference between minding your own damn business and turning a blind eye towards pedophiles. Nobody should be letting anybody touch kids. Pedophilia is wrong and will always be wrong. Negative. Glorifying the act of abusing children is wrong. Affirmative. Calling yourself a map doesn't change anything. Elaborate. We get it. You think you're so smart, but you are not defending yourself. You're just making yourself look like an idiot. Saying no to somebody else saying pedophilia is bad and wrong doesn't automatically make people think, actually, I think adults should be able to touch kids. Saying that you agree that glorifying the act of abusing children is wrong, but then glorifying the act of abusing children makes you look like an idiot. Calling yourself a map doesn't change anything. Elaborate. Elaborate on what, bitch? What the actual fuck? You should be the one elaborating because all you're saying is yes, no, tell me more. What I've noticed a lot is that they will quote things that normal people would have said about pedophiles and they would say citation needed. And it's gotten to the point where it's dumb. It's just dumb. Like, they tweeted out, they clearly have screws loose. Citation needed. You're a moron. You're a moron. Do I need a citation to call you a moron? Because you're stupid. There's a difference between referencing a not very well-known scientific report and saying something that is just a fact. If I say there are fish in the water, will I need a citation for that? Will I need to find some scientific report saying that fish do exist in water? No, because that would be stupid. Just as stupid as saying they clearly have screws loose, but I need a citation for you to prove that. But then they also blindly accept, I guess, facts that support their argument. They're one of them bitches. Those people who, even if you did find a source, multiple credible sources, they would just hop onto Google, find the first article that supports their argument and act as if that is a credible source and the only source that should be listened to in that argument. Somebody tweeted out, I'm sorry, most child molesters aren't pedophiles, ? And then this person retweeted it saying, facts are facts. If you're gonna hammer home people needing citations, provide citations. If you're gonna shame other people for not crediting sources when they just speak little well-known facts, then don't respond to something that immediately supports your argument but actually needs backing up and just not cite any sources. Okay, I don't really know what this person said, but they essentially said a pedophile will come up with anything. They say they think it's okay to rape children. Imagine thinking rape doesn't harm children. Guessing this guy doesn't have anyone in his actual life teaching him basic logic. Wording isn't great in either of these tweets, but I'm going to try and interpret and translate them the best as I can. I'm guessing he's saying, never once did I say that rape wasn't harmful. In fact, I denounce rape of any form. I loathe it with my entire being. I think I know a bit more logic than you, judging by how far you try to stretch my words. You are an open pedophile on Twitter. I don't understand how that works. You do understand that having sex with underage people is rape. I do understand where this person would have come up with the conclusion that you don't think rape harms children. All your arguments about children being able to consent and just glorifying sex with children. This person basically just says, normalize minors being friends with adults, which would be an okay thing to tweet if it didn't come from these kind of accounts. I'm gonna kind of sidetrack a little bit and talk about the whole Drake thing where people were giving Drake shit for DMing Billie Eilish and Millie Bobby Bobby Brown and telling them, basically forming friendships with him, and people thought it was creepy because he's like 30 something and both Millie and Billie are very young celebrities. I obviously don't know about that. I'm not Drake, I'm not Millie, I'm not Billie, so I don't know anything about their relationship, but from what I've gathered from it, from what I've been exposed to, there is nothing creepy going on. Whenever I have heard Billie or Millie talk about their friendship with Drake, it's just friendly. There's no alarm bells that go off in my head when I hear about it. I can definitely understand why other people are a bit more cautious. I do understand why some people would be a bit skeptical about minors being friends with adults, but again, coming from this account, it is very gross, considering they are coming from people that are attracted to children sexually. I just like to point out there is a huge difference between people, I kind of talked about this at the start, but like not really. There's a huge difference between people who have these desires and are attracted to children, who are very against acting on those desires, and other people acting on those desires and who are trying to get help and just stop being attracted to children and just don't actively fantasize about them, and people who are on Twitter, people who openly discuss how they think children should be able to consent. The attraction is not something that they could help, but if you're trying to get help for it, or if you're just trying to actively not be attracted to children, that is a good thing. However, if you are flaunting it, if you are trying to offend, if you're trying to glorify it or normalize it on Twitter, that isn't good. It's shamed upon for a reason. It's because kids are in danger. But if everyone just didn't act on it and tried to stop themselves or got help to stop themselves, this would not be an issue. Don't go diddling kids.